Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to see another example for syntax directed definition. So this is a question. Give syntax directed definition and annotated parse tree for the structure of type. So if the question comes like structure of type, it is talking about either the basic data type or the derived data type. For example, in C language, we have array declaration like this, int 2 of 3. Now forget about the name of the identifier here. So what is the meaning of this? The meaning is it's an array of two arrays of 3 integers each. This is the meaning of the statement. Let me repeat again. There are two arrays and in turn, each array consists of 3 integers. So this statement is to be interpreted like this. So for this, now I'm going to write the grammar. As usual, I'm going to draw the parse tree, annotated parse tree, and from there we are going to derive the semantic rules also. First, let us see the grammar. So T is the start symbol of the grammar. T derives BC. B is a basic data type. So this B can be either int or float or real. You can include as much as the data types you want. So what is C? C defines the array structure. So number, I have written inside the subscript, followed by C. Since both end there is a same name C, a recursive variable, I am just in order to differentiate using the subscript 1. Then finally the C must be replaced by epsilon. So this is the grammar. Against every production rule, we can have one or more semantic rules. So the production rule plus the semantic rule is nothing but the syntax directed definition. Now using this grammar, I'm going to draw the parse tree and I'm going to derive the same statement int 2 of 3 now. So let us draw the parse tree now. T is derived as BC. Now the C can be further derived as number C. Again it can be derived as number C. Finally the C is replaced by epsilon. Okay, now let's get back to the grammar once again. T is a start symbol, it defines BC. B is a basic data type. The C defines the array structure. Suppose the C is directly replaced by epsilon, it supports only the basic data type like integer, float, that's it. If C is not replaced by epsilon, then it becomes an array. Okay, now let us see how the attributes can be defined on the parse tree and how the data flows inside it. That is what we are going to understand now. Right. See, let us consider all the leaf nodes here. B is one of the leaf node. This B is nothing but the data type because B derives integer or float. So let me say that B is derived as integer first, and this number is nothing but 2 and this number is 3. Okay, so this B first takes this value is synthesized in fact. Right, B directly derives integer. So from the child node, the value flows to the parent node. I define the synthesized attribute by the name T. So B dot T is equal to integer. From here, the data flows. Once a basic data type is known, that value is sent to its sibling. What is the sibling here? C. So from here, C takes a value. Since it is inheriting the value, let me use the name here as okay, something I. C dot I. I denotes the inherited attribute. C dot I is equal to integer. Then after that, this data type flows down to the parse tree. So this C also takes a value integer because the value of C we have come to know it is of type integer. This C also takes a value integer. Once C is replaced by epsilon, it means the growth of the parse tree is stopped here. The value whatever is inherited from its parent node is synthesized here. So synthesized attribute we are using the name T, right? So let it be T here. C dot T is equal to integer. Right? While the value is being passed down, it has come across two things. One is a number, another one is C. But only the data type is flowing down till the parse tree, till the C is replaced by epsilon. So now the value is synthesized. Now it should go back to the root of the parse tree. So now this is going back to the parent node, its parent node. When it is going to the parent node, there are two values in fact, isn't it? One is number, another one is integer. Now, since the values are moving from the child node to the parent node, it goes like this. C dot T is equal to array of, the operator array is introduced based on the child nodes. One of the child node is number, another one is data type. So array of number is 3 here, the data type is integer here. Alright. So now this value must be passed to its parent node. So the parent node has the two child nodes. One is number, another one is this. This is a synthesized attribute, right? So here what is being synthesized? C dot T is equal to, again the name of the operator is array. The number is 2. What is the other value? It is nothing but array of 3 comma integer. Array of 3 comma integer. Now this value is being passed to its root node. Root node attribute is also synthesized attribute. So let us use a name T. T dot T is equal to array of 2 comma array of 3 comma integer. Okay, now I roughly told. I now just explain the dependency graph and by the way the flow of information among the attributes. Okay, so first we have constructed the parse tree and we have derived the leaf nodes. So first this is a value being passed to its parent node. Since from the child node the data flows to the parent node, we are defining the attribute as the synthesized attribute. So T is synthesized attribute. Right, the name T is used for the synthesized attribute. Right, this is the first action takes place. Then from B, the value is being passed to its sibling. This is the second step takes place. B dot T to C. Now look at the parse tree. T derives BC is a rule, right? So first B takes a value. From B, the value is being passed to the C. Now let us write correspondingly the semantic rules. Let's go to the grammar now. B derives integer. So B dot T is equal to int. If it is of float, then you have to write B dot T is equal to float. Once a value of B is known, the value is being passed to its sibling, which is C. But C is inheriting the value. The inherited attribute is defined by the name I. C dot I is equal to B dot T. This B dot T can be either integer or float, right? That is being assigned to C. So till now we have done. Now let's move on to the parse tree, annotated parse tree. So second step is over. What is the third step? This C dot I value is being or flowing down to its child node. So this C takes the integer. This is the third step happens. Again from here it is flowing down to its child node. By the way, C dot I becomes integer because from the parent if the value flows to its child node it becomes an inherited attribute. So this is the fourth step takes place. Then from here C is replaced by epsilon. This is the end of the parse tree. So whatever the value flown till this point is to be stored there, is to be saved there. That only we are defining it by synthesized. So C dot I is saved as C dot T. Okay, now till this point we define the semantic rules in our grammar. Let us move on to the grammar now. So after this value is being passed to the sibling, now this C can be defined as number C, right? So from the parent node, this variable takes a data type. From the parent node, the value flows to the child node. That is why what do we write here? C1 dot I is equal to C dot I. This step is repeated until the C is replaced by epsilon, isn't it? Once the C is replaced by epsilon, what do we need to write? C dot S is equal to C dot I. It means the value whatever inherited till this point is to be saved there. That is why we are using another attribute, synthesized attribute. Okay, sorry, for synthesized attribute we are using the name T, right? So C dot T is equal to C dot I. I hope up to this the rules are clear. Anyhow, I number the rules. This is the first step, this is a second step, and this is a third step. This third step is kept on repeating until C is replaced by epsilon. Once the C is replaced by epsilon, the value whatever is inherited till the point is synthesized and saved at that point. Now, let us move on to the parse tree. This C is expanded as a complete subtree here. So whatever is synthesized here must move back to the C by the way to the root of the parse tree, isn't it? So whatever is synthesized here, it is moving to its parent node. When it is moving to the parent node, from the child node, when it moves to the parent node, the attribute becomes a synthesized attribute. So now this node is defined by the synthesized attribute called T. Now this node is defined with the help of two child nodes. One of the child node is number, another one is this attribute. So when there are two values, if one is number, another one is data type, compiler understands it is an array. That's why the array operator is used. Array of 3 comma integer, right? Now this is the fifth step happening. Now from here, once again the value is being passed to its parent node, which is the sixth step. Now for this node, the attribute is synthesized at this junction with the help of the child nodes. One child node is number, another one is array of 3 comma integer. So C dot T is equal to array of 2 comma array of 3 comma integer. The meaning is it is an array of 2. There are two arrays and each array is containing 3 integers. Then from here, the value is being passed to the root node. Again, it is a synthesized attribute since it is flowing from the child to the parent node. It is nothing but array of 2 comma array of 3 comma integer. Now let us include the semantic rule correspondingly for this. Once C is replaced by epsilon, isn't it? This C is defined with the help of these two child nodes. So we have to include one more rule for this production rule. What is a production rule? C derives number C. Initially just took only the basic data type here. From here it obtained the basic data type, isn't it? Now it includes one more production rule, which is going to be the fifth step. I will write down with another pen so that there will be a clarity. So how do we write it here? C dot S. It means it's a synthesized attribute which is derived from the number as well as this is equal to array of one of the parameter is number, another one is its synthesized attribute C1 dot S. C1 dot S. So this is also repeated till it reaches the root of the parse tree. What is the root of the parse tree? The root of the parse tree is T. So how do we define it? T dot T is equal to C dot S, right? So this is the last rule or last step to be executed. T dot T is equal to C dot S. So let me number here. This is the fifth step and this is the sixth step. Okay, this is very simple. Once you follow the order, it is easy for you to understand the things. I hope you can understand with this example. If any doubts, please mention in the comment box. Please share the videos with your friends. Thank you.